Sometimes the most amazing connections pop up in the most unlikely places. The whole idea for this explainer came from something pretty wild. An AI assistant took two notes that seemed completely random and said, hey, these two things are connected. One was all about how we think, and the other was about a brand new discovery in chemistry. So, okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dive in and see what's going on here. I mean, right off the bat, that sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? You've got the messy, creative, wandering human mind over here, and then way over here you have the super precise physical world of molecules and chemical bonds. It's like trying to find a link between a dream and a blueprint. But what if there's some kind of hidden rulebook they're both playing by? That's the mystery we're going to try to solve. So, here are our two main characters in this story. In one corner, we've got the roaming mind, this idea from cognitive science about how our brains work. And in the other corner, the hidden bonds, a huge breakthrough in biology that was only found because of a new algorithm. They really do seem like they're from different planets, but stick with me. They might just be two sides of the same incredible coin. All right, first up, let's talk about the mind. The source material that got this whole thing started brings up this fascinating concept called prismatic cognition. And honestly, it's a completely different way of looking at why we think the way we do. So what in the world is prismatic cognition? Well, the core idea is that your brain isn't just a passive sponge soaking up information. Nope, it's an active, relentless pattern hunting machine. It's constantly roaming around, looking for ways to connect ideas, trying to build a stable and coherent picture of reality. You could almost think of it as a survival mechanism, but for our consciousness. And this is the really cool part. It tells us what our minds absolutely hate. It seems like our brains are basically hardwired to reject inefficiency and chaos. We can't stand being overloaded with information, and we really, really don't like when a story has missing pieces. And why? Well, because all of those things represent a threat to the stable mental world our brain is working so hard to build. And get this, the source makes this really powerful comparison. It says that when our mind gets fed bad or incomplete information, it creates this cognitive instability. That's a lot like the physical instability a cell feels when its DNA gets damaged. In both cases, the integrity of the whole system is at risk. It's a serious threat. So, how does our brain fight back against all that potential chaos? It does this thing called neurocoupling. Now, that's just a fancy word for something we all do constantly. Our brains link ideas together. They find relationships. They weave all these random threads of information into a solid tapestry. It's how we build a strong, stable understanding of everything. Our minds were literally built to connect the dots. Okay, let's put a pin in that for a second. Now we're going to jump over to our second puzzle piece. We're moving from our inner world to the microscopic world of chemistry, where a new piece of tech just found something that was, believe it or not, hiding in plain sight all along. For the longest time, the way we understood proteins, the literal building blocks of life, was based on what our technology could physically show us. Scientists had mapped them out, and they thought they had a really solid picture of how these complex things held themselves together. They saw the big, obvious bonds and kind of figured, yep, that's the whole story. But then something totally new happened. Scientists took all of that data they already had and they fed it into a powerful new algorithm. And this algorithm, it wasn't limited by what a human eye could see. It could sift through all that information, looking through patterns we would never spot. And what it found? Wow, it was a total game changer. It discovered chemical connections that we had missed for decades. So what exactly did it find? These hidden little bonds made of nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. The best way to think about them is like tiny, invisible support beams that were holding the protein structure together. And these weren't just some minor detail. It turns out these bonds are absolutely critical for protein stability and how it deals with stress. It was the missing piece of the puzzle that changed how we see everything. Okay, let's just pause for a second and take stock. On one hand, we have the human mind, which is hardwired to roam around and connect ideas to feel stable. On the other hand, we have a computer program that just scanned a bunch of data to find hidden bonds that create molecular stability. So, what gives? What is the actual connection here? And this right here is where it all clicks into place. It turns out these two completely different worlds, our minds and these molecules, they're not just kinda similar, they are operating under the very same fundamental principle. Here it is, the big aha moment, the shared theme, the thread that ties it all together is discovery. In both cases, we have a system that is designed to reveal hidden structures, whether they're ideas in our head or chemical bonds in a protein, all for the sake of creating stability.
And when you put them side by side, the parallels are just stunning. The system, a human brain versus a computer algorithm. The goal, cognitive stability versus molecular stability. The method, the mind uses neurocoupling to link ideas, while the algorithm scans for hidden chemical links. And the outcome for both? A stronger, more complete, more stable whole. It's the exact same process, just playing out on totally different scales.
The source actually calls this their shared DNA. It's this idea that both stories are about uncovering hidden complexity by looking closer. They both show this fundamental drive for stability, whether it's mental or physical. And they both prove that you have to have the complete picture to function correctly, whether you're a thought in someone's head or a protein in a cell.
There's a line from the source material that just sums it up perfectly. The real connection is the active uncovering fundamental truths that were hiding in plain sight. It's about finding that beautiful underlying order that was there the whole time. We just needed the right lens to finally see it.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? What does this bizarre link between psychology and chemistry actually mean for us? Let's zoom out and look at the real lesson here. Look, this isn't just some neat little coincidence to talk about. It's pointing to something much deeper, a fundamental truth about how we make sense of the world. It shows that both our own biological intelligence and the artificial intelligence we create are ultimately designed to do one thing: find order in the chaos. It's a core principle of how intelligence works, period. And that really leaves us with one last, huge question. If these profound connections were just sitting there, hiding in plain sight, in our own minds, and in the very molecules that make us up, it really makes you wonder, right? What other incredible, world-changing patterns are out there, just waiting for us to build the right tool or just adopt the right mindset to finally see them?